Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Parlay Show presented by Bet99. I'm Rob Conway in Toronto, and as always, in studio with me right here to my left is Albert Vartanian, and we are going to get into the NHL, and who better to do that but than with our other co-host, and that's Matthew Barnaby. Matt, we just heard your hole-in-one story. I could just set you up with a burn-up. Like, what's your experience in the Stanley Cup final? Boom.
Boom,
You ripped me. You burned me with that. I never got a home run, but nonetheless, it was a heck of a game last night. And you've been all over. I gotta say, you had Vegas from the very beginning. You've been all over them in the series. You did have the under that got away from us there in the third period. But just your first thoughts. Look, you know what it's like to play in playoff hockey. You know what it's like when you're trying to get under other players' skin. But when you're a guy like Matthew Tkachuk, and you're trying to put in some extra fire to your team, but you can't get away from you like he is, right? I mean, that's just too much for a guy of his level. Like, I guess if you're somebody like a Radko Gudas or something, I know he was out of the game, but that may be one thing. But you're the best player on this team by far. You can't be sitting in the box every 5 minutes.
Yeah, and yesterday that really is the first period, the physicality we talk about in the playoffs. There's no sport that changes from regular season to the playoffs as much as the NHL. We're big football fans, and the regular season is tough. Playoffs are pretty well the same, just a different day because of the amount of games. That first period, man, was it physical, and you just see how many guys are hurt at the end of it. But yes, Matthew Tkachuk looks like he's almost trying too hard to will his team into the fight. And I really thought they lost discipline in game one. I thought that carried over into game two. And Vegas has showed that they're not afraid of Florida in the physicality. They're a skilled team. They're a deeper team. They're better defensively than the Florida Panthers, but they aren't afraid physically, and they're willing to dish it out as much as they are to take it. If Florida's going to have success, and they are the favorite going into game three, doesn't surprise me because it's hard to sweep a team, and they are back home for the first time, so they will get line matchups that they want, but they're going to have to be more disciplined. There was 3 bad penalties in the first period that really set Florida back, and Vegas is not a team you can put on the power play with the way that Eichel's playing, Mark Stone. They're just too deep and too lethal if you give them bad penalties. They're going to kill off good penalties. But when you take cross-checking penalties, when you take roughing penalties, when you take stuff from behind, that stuff's going to burn you every single time. And I really think it cost them in game two.
Would Barney, you play with unbelievable stars, but guys like maybe like Lemieux and Yager and LaFontaine, they maybe not going to mix it up the same way that Tkachuk is. But if you're in your role as somebody who's supposed to be doing that, would you go up to them after game two and be like, guys, this is my job. We need you on the ice. I'll be the one to take this for us. You can't be doing that. If there's something going on, I'll handle it. I know Kachuk's a little bit different than like guys you played, but still, if they were doing it, you'd definitely be like, guys, what are you doing? But even like, would you be going up to him going, guys, I got this?
Yeah, I certainly would be. And I'd have that conversation just saying you're more effective to us. Now, I know there's a certain part of it that I had to play a certain way to get myself into the game. Now, I wasn't a top line player or a power play guy for the most part of my career. I had to play a certain way to involve myself in the game and correct it. But when you're as good a player as Matthew Tkachuk, yeah, he scored a goal late, but all we were talking about was him running into Hill and running around and really wasn't part of his effective part of his game. He's a scorer. He's got to put up points on the board, and that's you need him on the ice. You don't need him serving 10-minute misconducts, and he's had a few. Now, some of them haven't come into play. I don't think it mattered that he got one at the end of the second period. It's more right from the start of the game. If I'm Paul Maurice, I'm talking to him before game three, just saying, you got to play with an edge. That's your game. That's how you play your best. Mm-hmm. But it's got to be within control.
I mean, at the end of the game, too, like they were giving it to Vegas. And it was almost like, yeah, you guys are beating us and you're steamrolling us, but it doesn't come for free. Do you feel that way? Like when you play in the playoffs and if you've been in a position similar to the Florida Panthers where you're getting beat up the whole entire night, whereas, listen, this series is not over. I need to send a message before we head into the next game.
Absolutely, but it's a different era. Like,
right.
Vegas isn't intimidated. Well, what are they going to do? You don't have to fight anymore.
Yeah.
So, when we might be down or another team might be down, it happened to us when I was in Pittsburgh and we were up on Philadelphia. They had a 5-on-5 brawl. Now there was serious repercussions because guys could have had their face broke. there's no intimidation anymore. So yeah, they're going to take some shots, but I think Vegas did a good job of just walking away. If I'm Bruce Cassidy and if I'm the leadership in Vegas, just turn your cheek, man. We don't need it. We don't need to play into that side of the game. We're the better team. We're more talented. We're not afraid of them, and we're up 2-0. There's no reason to get involved in anything after a whistle. It's all about winning that shift, winning that period, winning that game.
Albert, we were talking about this too. Get your opinion on it. Sergei Bobrovsky, or what does Charles Barkley say?
Sergei Bobovka.
Bobovka.
He looked more like Bobovka last night than Bobrovsky.
Yeah. So he doesn't look himself, obviously. And Barney, you obviously you'll chime in a second too, but like Vezina Bob, and I can't believe they gave him $10 million, Bob. I mean, somewhere in between's fine, but it seems like it's the latter right now.
Now we have long layoff Bob, right?
Yeah.
You know what it is, though? Okay, there was one goal that went in. It was a short side off the post. He didn't really know where it was. But other than that, like the goals that are going in, Vegas have some big boys, and they're doing exactly what they need to do. They're screening Bobrovsky, and you saw it in game one with the Theodore goal, and I think the White Cloud goal. They're skating from side to side, shooting the puck on net the other way with Bobrovsky screened. I don't care if you're Bobrovsky or any other goalie, even Vasilevsky. If you're screened that much and you have defensemen and players who can put the puck where they want to put it, they're going to score goals. And I actually don't think he looks that bad. I just think Vegas are doing a good job of finding ways to beat him. Right, Barney?
Well, we talked about it last week before the series started, and you guys brought up, what the 10-day layoff would be for Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
For the most part. I thought it was going to affect the whole team, especially him. But Rob, you've played golf with me before. If you saw me 5 days in a row shoot 73, 75, 76, 72, and you've played with me enough that you know that the 90 is coming. You know it's coming. That's what we said about Bobrovsky is I haven't seen enough consistency over the long time in his career that there wasn't going to be a couple stinkers in there. Not that he's been that bad, but he wasn't going to save the day like he has in past series or come up with 45 saves standing on his head. You kind of expected it with the layoff and past track record. So I don't think this comes as a surprise. The better team, I think it was harder to get through the East, even though they made short work of the Carolina Hurricanes. Maybe a little easier for Vegas. And then you get there and you realize just how good this team is. This was a really good team that didn't play most of the year without Mark Stone, their captain. And we know what he can do. Jack Eichel's at a new level. Mark Stone's at a new level. And Aiden Hill's been very good for them.
Yeah, Mark Stone's been great. Barney, they put you in Paul Maurice's shoes for game 3. Do you go with Lyon or you stick with the guy that got you there?
No, you got to go with Bobrovsky. You got to. Even though I'm not the most confident guy, I've never been a Bobrovsky fan. He got you there. Lyon got you into the playoffs late.
Yeah.
But Bobrovsky's been so good. You can't even second question where you are going into game 3.
Got the lines there up on the screen. -500 for Vegas, Florida +36. Betting the rest of the series. Interesting enough, on Bet99 right now, the biggest favorite is 4-1 Vegas as the final. And, they're basically saying, look, they're going to get one here in Florida and then wrap it up at home. Barney, are you that confident? Is it curtains right now for Florida? I know Paul Maurice after game 1 said, effing calm down and all that stuff. I love Paul Maurice, by the way. He's the best.
Yeah.
But is it really like, I mean, you see the final and they kind of ran away with it there, but Florida, they were down in the Boston series. And after that, didn't have much adversity and kind of rolled, but they've been down before. I don't think it's a huge panic there yet. Are you panicked? Or you think this is a quick series now, or is there some value maybe finding this thing going to 6 or 7?
I'm not panicked for Florida, but they've been badly outplayed. And I really think like Gudas being out and Fitzgerald going in, he's only played 2 games. He was exposed a little bit yesterday on a couple of those plays, especially that one goal by Roy. It's a deeper team. The better team is Vegas. The better team is Vegas.
Yeah, 100%.
They're not losing the series. They're not losing 4 of the next 5 games to the Florida Panthers.
When you say it like that too, the 4 of the next 5 games.
4 of the next 5.
It's nuts, eh?
Not happening.
I know you don't. It's not a series until someone loses at home or whatever. But
rolling 4 straight lines that can kill you.
And it doesn't.
They have 6 defensemen who are incredible.
Yeah.
And they have a goalie who can keep the puck out. Like they're perfect. Like it's perfect right now for Las Vegas.
And the power plays rolling. Marchessault, they're feeling good about themselves. Marchessault has 12 goals in the last 12 games.
Yeah.
Eichel's got 22 points. He comes back after getting absolutely destroyed by Tkachuk. You think the series might be done. It was hanging on by a thread. His shoulder. But curious enough, they get blown out, just absolutely torched. And Florida's the favorite at -120 going into game 3. I'm not biting. They're begging us.
Yeah, I know.
They're begging us to pick Vegas, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to bite. Give it to me. Give me the hook. I'm taking
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going with Vegas too. I'm just looking at the Panthers. I mean, their schedule in terms of what they've done so far in the playoffs. And the last time they were in this position, they were what? The Bruins won 2 after they won the second game. But other than that, they pretty much cruised their way to this final.
Yeah.
They really haven't been against it all that much outside of round 1.
Not even trailing in a lot of games, too.
No.
There was a stat up there in game 1.
First of all, not allowing these many goals.
Yeah. No, I know. It was a fantastic run. And I think, Barney, you put it best that, you know, when you're rolling in use a golf analogy, you're shooting 70s all day, but you know
Yeah.
that it's gonna get away from you. And that's what's happened with this team, not just Bobrovsky, but with this team.
No.
You're gonna mix in a stinker, and you like it to be, you know, when you're, you know, the game 5 or something, when you're already up 3-1, but when it is what it is. You haven't had one in a while. So
Vegas, I think, can actually bring their B game and beat Florida right now.
yeah, I just think they're much better.
Yeah,
the much better team, deeper team. If they could have got out goalied, but that was their only option right now. And not to, you know, to give them their eulogy yet. Like, it's not like it's completely curtains, but it's going to be a tough go. And the books are saying that it looks like it might be a quick series. But let's get into the NBA when we get back. We'll take a quick break right here on the Parlay Show. We got the NBA a split there in that series. We got the RBC Canadian Open. We'll get into real quick. And Alek Manoah's struggles with the Toronto Blue Jays. After this on the Parlay Show.